Alright, welcome back. This is going to be another best of 5 from the Aureil Stormgate Invitational 2nd edition. And this best of 5 also played out in the round of 16 between these two opponents, and this is going to be in your Blue Celestial, playing under the name lol is MC. And his opponent in this matchup, under the red Vanguard, is going to be Mixu. And we do see that it's a Rax opening for Mixu. He's got a couple bobs moving out. That's interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. While we also have a Archship flying across and is being scouted out by the scout. That's the job of the scout. And that's just to make sure that this base here is not going to be a surprise base. And also just to check, is there going to be shenanigans? Celestials, that's their middle name, shenanigans. But what kind of shenanigans is it going to be? It's just going to be econ shenanigans here today, which is just the normal brand of shenanigans, which is to get 3 arrays up and use that eco boost to try and produce some units, and we'll see what kind of units that's going to be. But we do see that, okay, that Bob had come over here and built a sentry post, and that has turned into a repair-o-matic, and it is being used. It looks like here there is a Bob. Yes, it is a Bob doing the tanking here, while the dogs are taking out the creeps. But the repair-o-matic, it looks like, can out-repair both of these creeps on the Bob tanking it, so that's good to know. And this is what I might call a Mixu special. Mixu has lots of these little creeping tricks up his sleeve. I've seen them in previous matches of his. So, good to know. He's probably done the math here to figure out some of these tricks, and now you don't need to do the math because he has, and you can benefit from it yourself. So he uses that trick to grab this Luminite Tower nice and quick. Meanwhile, back here we have a Morph Core choosing to quit in the middle there and make a Starforge. So it looks like we're going to see some kind of Starforge tech coming out. Probably vectors to begin with, I imagine. And yes, we see our first vector on the way. And we do see these dogs, 6 scouts running into the base. And they try and get on top of this Ascension Matrix. But, yeah, MC decides, let's call a Starvus Watch there. And that does allow him to finish creeping off that camp. And that first vector, boop, pops out. And there we go, ready to capture that camp. Meanwhile, these dogs are going to take down the Shadow Demons here while they're on this side of the map. And Lancer also showing up. The sentry post has not gone away, and instead there's a hangar bay joining. So there's a hangar bay on the map. And this base, or this camp, is almost done. And it looks like we're just waiting for more vectors to pop out. And do we have the recall? Yes, recall is being researched. So looks like we're going to have vector play to begin, and a 4th array on the way here for MC. Mixu, his force, dogs and lancers, heading back to base. And a single Hornet is out. And the Hornet, looks like momentarily, was called back. But the Hornet is going to fly down and maybe do some harass on these prisms, I imagine. And sure enough, that's what we're going to see here. Immediately this vector turns to try and get on top of the Hornet. Shield up goes down on the Hornet. The Hornet is able to, well, preserve itself while it goes into retreat. This hangar bay was taken out, it looks like, by the Vectors, who are now able to get some nice pot shots on these dogs. 2 dogs go down immediately. Lancers also running into fire. They're going to get harassed. And they're going to be chased all the way back to their base. And one goes down, the other one also going to go down. These dogs able to heal up a little bit, but they're weak against these vectors. Because, well, everything's kind of weak against the vectors just because the vectors are so mobile. And they take out all those units, and now they're in the base. So this is looking really bad for Mixu. A lot of Bobs already going down, 3 or 4, and more going down. These vectors all delta jump on top of that hedgehog and get it taken out as well. Yeah, all these Bobs are going down. There's only 4 left. It's a ton of economic damage here. And Mixu's still in this. At least in his mind, he's trying to mount some kind of defense. There's a Vulcan, so he's hoping this Vulcan is going to be able to do something. Bobs get pulled to heal up the Vulcan and keep it alive. And the vectors are just trying to use their mobility to kill more Bobs and not get under the fire of the Vulcan. Interestingly, the Vulcan stayed over where the recall was and manages to get one of the vectors as a result. I thought kind of looked a little bit derpy over there, but was in fact trying to get in a position to counter that recall ability. The vectors, the 5 that remain, are able to take out that command post, and 2 go to the low ground, the other 3 stuck on the high ground. And 4 up here trying to kill a few more Bobs. And they jump on top of the Vulcan, but it's a shields up on the Vulcan. That'll keep it alive long enough for the Bobs to get there and heal it up. And MC chooses to retreat, at least for the moment. Runs back in. Delta jumps on again. Tries to get on top of that Vulcan. Does manage to get it. Yes, kills it. And only loses 1 vector. So many low vectors, though. Chooses to go, finds a medtech that's hanging out in this healing camp. Tries to take the healing camp, but I don't know. This Vulcan is going to get here, stuns 1 of them, and the rest manage to get away. So Mixu was able to mount some kind of a defense, but let's take a look at the stock here. We have 11 workers here, only 2 on Therium. We're basically back to square one here, trying to put this command post down with a single Vulcan here. I imagine there's another one on the way, yes. And Vulcans are pretty good, but you need a few more of them and probably some hedgehogs or something as a front line. Meanwhile, MC has a growing vector force. He's retaking his healing camp with a evolution catalyst, and we're starting to see sabers moving out on the map. Where did the rest of those vectors go? They were here taking out the energy camp. And even though there's that Vulcan in there, I really think this force is already... I think he could move back with these healed up units and go and try and take out that force, but is instead just trying to play it safe. Doesn't quite know that he's got a 55 supply lead. And, you know, there's a famous saying, if you are ahead, get more ahead. So MC certainly knows that. Many years playing RTS, and is going to take this opportunity, get a little ahead. Take this tier 2 Luminite camp and get some extra bonus from that. Wow, we're starting to see here. Oh, here it is. It's the march of the sabers. The parade that we've all been waiting for. So many sabers moving across the map. These vectors heading back, I assume, just to get some healing love, yes. And, ooh, we've got the Core Ascendancy. I don't think I knew that upgrade before. The Core Ascendancy, which upgrades the sabers so that their abilities are 50% more effective. And that means their core, mass acceleration, which lets them speed away when they're not in combat. and their healing ability, which I do not remember what it's called. At the moment, they are sieging from the low ground on this base, but actually it's the Arc Fortress that comes in with a Super Fate and Laser Beam. And it does look like the DPS now cannot be out-repaired by those bobs, and that is a base going down. The Vulcans and the rest of this army tried to come to the low ground to mount some kind of defense, but there is just not much of an army here. With this many sabers, there is nothing these units are going to be able to do. They're trying to retreat back by any time they can, but one Vulcan has already died to the siege damage. Another one gets one shot, and that's going to be GG out of Mixu in game number 1. Alright, here we are into game number 2, and this is going to be Mixu showing up in the blue vanguard here, in the bottom left here of Titan's Causeway, and Mixu's hoping to get a win here after losing it in his first match to his opponent, lol, aka MC, in the red Celestial. And we do see that the scout, I don't know if the scout can see from there, maybe he can. I mean, why would you run there if you can't? And I'm pretty sure Mixu has played this map enough to know that. So if he ran there, he probably knew with the Howl ability he can see that mine. And for the moment, this scout's just getting its workout, running back and forth, trying to see if there's anything fancy going down. Does not yet see another base here, another morph core popping out, and there is a morph core popping out. His second one has already been queued, and that's just because he's anticipating not being able to put down this base because the dog's going to be annoying. As long as the dog is standing close to that base, he cannot put down the collection array. But does manage to get it down now, and the dog going to eat his cabbage and get all fully healed up. And this game is off to the races as you might expect. 3 arrays into power bank. We should see a creation chamber coming up soon. Another power bank. And what did we see over here for Mixu? It is a barracks opening. And did we see anything come out of that Rex? Yes, it is dogs, because here we are doing that same old trick. He is creeping out the Luminite camp. It's a fun trick. It's a good way to spend the beginning of the map, the beginning of the game, I should say. And when you know little tricks like this, and it looks like he's evolved it. I've seen variants of this trick. You know, one variant is you get a buzzsaw cannon here, and you get the tanking. So I've seen different variants from Mixu, and it looks like he likes this one, at least when he's doing his dog opening, because the buzzsaw turret means making a lancer instead of scouts, and maybe he wants scouts in this matchup. I'm not sure, but this is his current version of this build, and it looks like he's going for the same idea. It's into a single hangar bay in the middle of the map to get a Hornet out as quick as possible, I guess. Meanwhile, we have a Starforge that's been surged with vectors, and we do have a Sovereign's Watch before that power bank goes down. I don't see any vectors yet. Is that the first one? That might be the first vector. It must be, because this slime has not yet been killed. So interesting to see that the Luminite camp gets creeped out before any health camp. And that's just because Mixu's got this cool style. He's now trying to take this speed camp. And doing a pretty good job of not taking much damage from these Shadow Mastiffs. And it looks like he will. Ooh, they do use their splash damage attack again. Their charge. I'm sure it's called something like that. Probably Phantom Charge. Shadow Charge. Shadow Leap. Something like that. MC's vectors out here. We have a Morph Core in the center of the map. The Bob gets out of the Repair-O-Matic to turn it back into a sentry post, so it has some attack ability. Oh, and we heard the sounds of a prism shattering. There's another one. The vectors are on top, but it is got the shields up, and so it will get home safely. Arc ship move forward. There's a morph core here, ready to put down another collection array here. And I imagine we're going to see more prisms put out so that there can be continued therium gathering. Definitely going to need therium. But the vectors get under the middle of the map and find this hangar bay again. And they're going to try and take out this evac. And they do get the evac as well as the bob. And this is going to be a free old hangar bay here. Unless it gets sold, which is what we see there. So it's sold by Mixu and gets all his money back. Which, of course, is a sweet deal. Sweet, sweet deal. And now, oh, there's our first Vulcan. As we see the vectors are coming to harass. But there's already a Vulcan this time. And that means this is not going to necessarily be the same kind of damage as last time. And we see one or I think two vectors got taken out there. I'm sure the Vulcan here is, yeah, probably a pretty good creeper with his line attack. And now with the healing camp, he's going to heal up. So one difference from Mixu is he has not gone for his base while he is right now going for his base. And that meant when the Vector showed up, he wasn't, you know, he had his Vulcan already. And he wasn't just producing Bobs here. And there wasn't just a bunch of Bobs to be murdered. So this is going to be an advantage here this game. Where Mixu has at least changed his fate by changing his build order. Now these vectors in the middle of the map. Oh, a very nice jump jet is able to take one of them out. And the vectors do need to retreat here, or at least stay at distance. They don't want to get too close. But they also want to keep their eyes on these units. They jump to the low ground, and now they're going to try and use that to get behind these units. There's another Vulcan here, though. It gets some shots off. These vectors are a little low already. A single medtech here might get focus fire down. Ooh, it does go down. And these brave vectors are going to go up into the high ground, but they do, of course, have the ability to jump down to safety and freedom. We saw vectors and Argents up here. It looks like there was another Hornet harassing the Therium. It's probably why we're seeing Argents out here, is Therium has been stifled by that harass. And now these units are clearing out the vision camp, but what do we see here? It looks like, oh no, there's going to be a little bit of a tango here at the Luminite camp. Both of these players wanting to get these creeps. And it looks like Mixu is going to be able to get the Bruiser. Very nice play with the Vulcans to keep it stun locked. But Saber's out now. And the Sabres move forward, trying to snipe some Vulcans, but unable to get one yet. They do get a Hedgehog. Another Hedgehog's going to go down, and so does a Lancer, it looks like. Nope, yep, there goes the Lancer now. The Argents kind of front lining, but they don't really want to because these Vulcans hit hard. And it's the Sabres who really want to be doing the damage. They pick off another Vulcan. A Hedgehog shows up, chases those units back a little bit, but it's still just the tail of the Sabres in the back line there. Trying to focus fire down, even with 2 shots at a time, that does 180 damage to these Vulcans. But that Vulcan has a ton of repair power on it right now. The 2 Sabres are unable to out DPS that Repair-O-Matic and all those Bobs. But they turn and they focus. One of them actually just left back there to sadly die. But there are 2 more that showed up, so we are now up to 3. And 3 Sabres might be able to one-shot a Vulcan. We will see. One of these Vulcans does have Veterancy rank 1, giving it, of course, more hit points. We now see a 4th Sabre, a 5th Sabre, and an Arc ship. floating into the middle of the map. There's our 6th Saber. And 6 Sabers is certainly enough to one-shot Vulcans. Yeah, so you need 5, it looks like, to one-shot a Vulcan. At least that Vulcan I was looking at. That Vulcan, yeah, is rank 0. At rank 1, you need 6. And we have a 2, 4, 6, 7. And my guess, my math there suggests that should be able to handle a rank 2 Vulcan even. And, ooh, we're starting to see some of those sentry posts going down. And the Vulcans are trying to get up so they can deal some damage. But with massive accelerators, a lot of those Sabers are able to pull back. And one of those Vulcans already went down, another goes down. And now it's just Hedgehogs and Medtechs against all these Sabers. That's a lot of Sabers here. And they're just going to start melting these units. And sure enough, we're seeing Hedgehogs go down too. Now it's just Bobs. And that's going to be a GG out of Mixu. And we're back at it in game number 3. And this is going to be starring here Mixu in the blue Vanguard. And his opponent changed his name from lol, not laughing anymore. The Red Celestial himself, MC. Now MC is up 2 games in this best of 5. This is possibly the last game if he's able to clinch it. But Mixu, of course, is hoping that he is going to be able to fight his way out of this with his build. Now, the last couple games, he's done the same build, and it looks like he's doing the same build again. These Bobs are running across the map, as well as some a dog here. That's not a Bob, that's a dog. It's a scout. And we'll see if he changes it up at all. And I did mention in an earlier game that this is sort of a Mixu special. He has some cool little openings and so on. But if I had lost the first 2 games, I think you might want to change up your opening a bit. This is cool, and there's not much going on in the first few minutes. You can do whatever you want. But this particular opening relies on dog production. And I'm not really sure if the dogs have been helpful in the previous matches. And, just trying some kind of different style might be of value here. Now this is, yeah, you don't want a dog tower. That was definitely a misclick. Or maybe he knows what he's doing. You can use that to move the dog to the other side. It's very possible he did that. But he now has his setup, the one that he's had before, where he's got the Bob tanking. I wonder if he's going to use this to move to the second camp as well after he's done here. Ooh, so what happened there? The Bob stopped tanking possibly. So this is the kind of micro that you have to get into if the poor bruiser decides not going to obey what you want him to do. But no, now that they did kill that other unit, even a dog, it looks like, is able to handle the DPS of the bruiser. And like I mentioned before, it's just kind of slow to do this. The DPS from the dogs is not a lot on this bruiser, and eventually take it out. But that did take over a minute or so, and that means we see that MC has got his Starforge on the way. It looks like he already has one. Actually, that's his second Starforge, because there's a Vector out on the map that's going to just come and try and take this out. Gets over here and sees, oh hey, hello. And because Mixu is still creeping here, and what is MC choosing? He's trying to go for the Repair-O-Matic, I don't know if that's the right choice here. But this is a well-entrenched position for Mixu, so with the Repair-O-Matic, we saw you could handle all those creeps. And one Vector, it looks like, is getting chased away. And without their recall, they don't have the speed upgrade yet, because that's the other thing you get from the recall. It just says Delta Jump. It looked like the recall symbol, but yeah, the recall is not done yet. Let's take a look and see if we can see it. Oh, it's just about to be done. And with that finishing, the vectors are a little bit speedier. That was, oh geez, Mr. Bug. It'll be a fun day when that bug goes away. Happy day. And MC's already out into the middle of the map here. Looks like about to be on array number 5. And Mixu has just cleared out this second camp. So yeah, again, like a minute and a half clear this second camp. And in all this time, he's been building all these bobs. He salvages the hangar. Did the hangar bay make a hornet? I did not see a hornet, and if so, it must have been killed by the vectors, but I did not see it. And this little sort of forward base or proxy base for Mixu gets taken out. Therium tower. Ooh, get it. Yeah, okay. Little too quick with moving away, but captures the towers back. So MC's definitely feeling in control here. Up to the 5th array. Has his arc station here with the forward power bank already being summoned. He's got a morph core popped out too. Is he going for? Yes, he's going for it. He's going for Arc Fortress. Trying to get out that Fate's End laser beam to melt some bases. Everyone likes to get their base melted off. No, that's not true. But if you are a Celestial player, you like to melt bases. So we will probably see that coming up here in a second once that upgrade's done. And in the meantime, lots of power banks going down here, as well as a forward Starforge, so that more units can be pushed out. Now, are we going to start seeing... No, it's still vector production here. I was going to say, are we going to start seeing sabers join these vectors? But for the moment, it is vectors. There is a Vulcan there. Some of the vectors go to the high ground, some on the low ground. The ones on the high ground are trying to get some Bob kills, but they use their recall ability, and there was a Vulcan waiting for them there. In fact, there are 2 Vulcans here, and so many vectors get taken out here, and they have to retreat back. Now there is an Arc Fortress here, colloquially known as the Jesus House, and it's just floating above, giving its sweet healing love down to its vector buddies. And there's just a couple Vulcans here. I'm not sure these Vulcans want to push out here. We don't quite have Static D up, but they will be up in a second. And the vectors are going to try and get behind on top of the Bobs. And they get behind there. They are into the base. But the Vulcans are going to try and break this position. 2 Surge Strike nodes firing as much as they can. Taking out a lot of Bobs, it looked like. And this part of the base is going to go down. But we have almost no mining here, as the vectors take out all the Bobs here. And there is still mining going on in the main base. A few units here try and stay behind to take out the Starforge and these 2 remaining bases. But there is a Surged Arc Fortress just floating gently in. Gently floating. The vectors here, they have to face off with this Vulcan. Is that all there is a single Vulcan? It looks like it. There are some hedgehogs down here, actually, that remain from killing that base. But now we have the Jesus House and the Fate's End. Laser beams doing the melting. There's lots of Bobs here doing their repair. And another Fate's End. Meanwhile, These vectors looks like have been mowed down, so this is not quite going the way that MC wanted in game number 3. He is going to have to retreat back with his Jesus house. Jesus is going to have to go home. Oh no. The hedgehogs siege up. So many blasts on that Arc Fortress. But it's going to heal up. It's fine. It's fine. Everything is fine. It's still vectors. Vectors. Oh, there we go. We have sabers massing back home and using their mass accelerator to zippity-doo-dah out onto the map. And here they are meeting up, and this is going to change things up now. Wait a second. These Vulcans, they smashed through the trees, but they retreated. There was a Sovereign's Watch there, it looked like. So they're going to push forward again. But now there are sabers. 5 sabers in a defensive position. And we learned last game that sabers can snipe Vulcans once you get them into the numbers of 5 and more. And they're going to start here, it looks like, on... Oh, they're going to go for this Vulcan. This Vulcan, oh, not able to get back in time. There's a Jesus house on the Repair-O-Matic. Take that, Repair-O-Matic. Now it's a bunch of vectors out to protect their sabers. All of those bobs go down, and that's GG. Well played out of Mixu, and congratulations, MC.